Welcome back to all my Perseverance pioneers to another electric episode of the Perseverance Mindset Podcast, recorded right here live from the Dialogue Den. And today we take you even deeper into the rapid growing saga that we've dubbed the financial Cold War between the US and China. And in our last episode, we unpacked the historic weekend agreement between the United States and China and 90-day reduction in tariffs that could reshape global trade for decades. We didn't really go into further detail. It was the weekend before the meeting. But today, we're going further. We're connecting all the dots with the new inflation data looking surprisingly positive and grocery prices starting to finally ease. Is it possible that we're witnessing the first signs of this new golden age of America? Before we dive into the future, let's remember the past. We've lived through two Cold Wars, one military and this one financial, and the devastating effects of global trade imbalances like NAFTA, which hollowed out American manufacturing base and sent millions of jobs overseas. Those were decades of economic confusion and dependency, but now, under new leadership, the president, a businessman who's not now yielding the power of the Oval Office, maybe in ways that have never been done before, never even thought about, we might be on the verge of turning the tide. Just listen to the U.S. Trade Secretary Scott Bessent, who after the talk started stated, "This is a major breakthrough. We've laid the foundation for a fairer, freer, global trade economy that puts American workers and innovation first." So let's revisit the details of the agreement that we know thus far, subject to change, but what's being talked about right now. Over the weekend, U.S. officials led by Trade Secretary Scott Bessent and Chinese negotiators agreed to slash the tariff like a knife through hot butter, significantly down from 145% down to 30% on Chinese goods and 125% slash down to 10% on U.S. goods. The talks, which took place in Geneva, Switzerland, haven't been, heard it's nice, are being hailed as not just a reset, but a reboot of global economic engine of the world. Some critics call it premature. The global markets disagree. Stocks surged, of course. Investment analysts are upgrading their forecasts. I believe it was JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs took away their recessionary concerns for this economic fiscal year, and momentum is building. The question now is, will the next 90 days be just a temporary truce or the start of a new economic alliance? Let's get into it. Let's turn our focus home. Let's back up a little bit. In just the last few weeks, we've seen a drop in core inflation for the third month in a row. Grocery prices are easing. Eggs, milk, fresh produce, even packaged goods are coming down. Seen my first dozen of eggs under $4 just this weekend, $3.94. And guess what? American manufacturers are seeing fresh orders come in thanks to the prospect of a reduced export barrier. This is no coincidence. We're watching the machinery of the American productivity being turned back on like the light switch. Not to mention, not forgetting over the past 100 days, in other episodes we've talked about, the investments that are pouring into the U.S., clean energy, semiconductor plants, AI infrastructure, rural manufacturing initiatives. If you're counting over $500 billion with a B in project commitments, it's unprecedented. Now let's zoom out a little bit. A deal like this doesn't just affect the U.S. and China in this financial Cold War, which we've named it because it is a financial Cold War. It will decide who runs the table economically and concerning free trade for the next 50 to 100 years, which it will. It reverberates worldwide. Europe, Southeast Asia, Latin America, they're all watching. They're all tuned in to the TV like we're all watching in on our favorite episode on a Friday night. If the U.S. and China can stabilize the economic relationship, global markets, they're going to go crazy. They're going to love it. They could experience a wave of predictability and investment not seen in many decades, long pre my lifetime. The financial Cold War may not end with a single deal, but this could be the beginning of thawing out of tensions that have gripped supply chains, commodity markets, and energy flows for the last 10 years pre-pandemic. Investors are watching this with intense focus. Will capital flow begin flowing more freely? Will American and Chinese companies begin long-term planning ahead? Will the U.S. have more access to Chinese markets? Will China take more American products and lead to us not being a net exporter, but a net importer, but a net exporter? And yes, then this weekend was more than a win. It was a shift. But the productivity of that shift we'll know for sure after the 90 days. I've gotten feedback from some of our perseverance pioneers that, again, some are hopeful, some are doubtful, some are saying we're crazy, that we're towing the line, that we're a cheerleader for the president. We are rooting for America. If you're not rooting for America to be the richest, freest, most powerful country of the world with the most jobs and most jobs that we can bring back over here for our sons and daughters and fathers, grandparents, for them to have jobs, for them to have opportunities, for them to economically be in a better place, I don't know why you're watching. So let's entertain a big question. Are we entering a new golden age? It's been talked about, but there's been a lot of doubt, a lot of fears out there, a lot of uncertainty. Uncertainty rattles markets. Uncertainty destabilizes everything. Consider this. Inflation's cooling. Global cooperation stabilizing, domestic investment is booming, and a renewed focus on American-made goods and jobs for the first time in decades. We're not talking about outsources, we're talking about reshoring. For all of us here at the Perseverance Mindset Podcast, that is amazing. That's what we want to see. More jobs for Americans, more jobs for our sons and daughters, more jobs for all of us here. With the world shifting away from dependency on unstable trade routes, supply chains, the U.S. could very well be the epicenter of reliable growth, not just for the next 4 years, but the next 20 years, the next 50. Reliable growth, stable trade, and technology innovation. We've done episodes on the AI arms race, how the U.S. needs to win that conflict as well. That's not just economic policy, that's national identity reborn. This is not just a phase if it's handled correctly. This 90-day window could launch a generational transformation, or it could be a storm window that we all walk to and just shut, and everything just stays how it's been for decades upon decades upon decades. And let's take a moment to ground all this history. For the first Cold War was about nuclear deterrence, global ideology. This, what we're engaged in right now, this financial Cold War, has been about supply chains, intellectual property, data control, and monetary supremacy. That's what this conflict is. Not just a trade war. You need to look long past that. There's much more involved in this, the shipping of goods and services, free trade. We've seen the consequences of failed policies like NAFTA, which gutted our towns and our communities, increased the reliance on those foreign supply chains for cheaper goods. I'm tired of hearing how everybody wants cheap goods. I'd rather have a quality good, even if I don't have more of them. We would want a quality. I would hope you would want a quality American-made good item. We've lived through the rise of China as the world's factory, the world's producer, while American middle class took the hit right after all. Companies cashed in, companies outsourced, but American middle class, they took the hit. But this time we may be writing a different story. We don't know. This is total uncertainty. But we're rooting for America. This is the moment where history meets the opportunity. And what we do, if America acts boldly and wisely and can reclaim that leadership in not just trade, but in the value systems that drive it, fairness, innovation, freedom. So what's next in the coming weeks? We'll be watching both sides implement tariff reductions, other conversations. Will this lead to new long-term agreements, which we believe it will? Will China follow through on the purchasing commitments and their end of the deal? Have they in the past? We don't know, but maybe it will change. We have to hope for change. Will you as businesses respond with hiring and expansion, even with the rise of AI? There's a lot of good potential out there for AI jobs, AI machine learning, people that control AI, that can work magic and wonders in their workplaces and increase productivity and get things done faster and more efficiently. We'll be watching the inflation reports, interest rate moves, the housing market, consumer confidence, because all these factors are now connected in this financial Cold War. And finally, we'll be listening to world leaders, economists, business owners, to workers, because the story of the next 90 days will be written by all of us, not just by our leaders. Perseverance pioneers, stay with us. This isn't just policy, it's history in real time. And we will be here unpacking every breakthrough, every signal, and every risk as it comes. So until next time, keep pushing forward, keep believing, and could we be witnessing this golden age of America? Because it just might be arriving. You've heard it here first. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, share, tell a friend. If this podcast is something you like or you'd like somebody to hear, share it. Hit that subscribe button. Here at the Perseverance Mindset Podcast, this is your front row seat to the future of the American dream. Have a great night.